Let's go to the Bud Light Hotline presented by Adams Beverage. Our good friend, assistant coach Scott Pospichal, joins us to talk more about the game. Good morning, Coach. And it is a good morning.
Oh, it is an incredible morning for the Roll Tide Nation. Unbelievable performance last night by the guys.
All right, I got to ask you, man, coming on the heels of this 5-game winning streak, winning in Gainesville for the first time in 21 years, winning in Baton Rouge, it's going to get tougher to play the underdog card. You know that, right?
You know, when we beat Florida at Florida, I remember coming into the locker room after the game, and it was Coach Petway, myself, and Alex Payne, and we looked at each other and we're like, what the heck just happened? Because, you know, you got to go back to the first game of the season on ESPN where Dayton beat us like by 112.
Yeah.
Right? and it was, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then here we are this morning, we wake up, and, you know, wow. I mean, what else can you say other than wow? I mean, it's just spectacular. It really is. I don't know what else to say.
You know, you come out in the non-conference where I predicted you to go 6-6 and thought that's not bad with that schedule. You go 9-3. You know, shocking everybody, beating Wichita State, beating Notre Dame, winning at Clemson. But then league play opens up. I still try to figure out how they design the schedule, having you wait all the way until the Thursday night after most teams already played 1 or 2 games to open at Ole Miss with their new arena there and then come back less than 48 hours later and you got to play Kentucky. But regardless, you open up 1-5 in the league, and it's like, well, it was a nice story. They did a good job in the non-conference, but it's catching up with them now. And, you know, that 13th place prediction looking pretty good. I said it earlier on the show. I mean, the Tennessee game was a swing game in a lot of ways. For one, because you won it, but to be down 15 in the second half and to win that game, even though you lost the next one at South Carolina, and now you're on this incredible row. 5 in a row, 6 of the last 7. I mean, how big was that win at Tennessee? Because if you lose, you go to 1-6. You've got absolutely no momentum. Do you think, Coach, and I know it's never just one game, but was that the game that kind of, when you come back from 15 down in the second half to win that game, that kind of got you going a little bit?
You know, what was interesting is the LSU game, we should have won that game.
Yeah,
I mean, we outplayed LSU, but, you know, things have a way of working out. Tennessee comes into our place and outplays us, but yet we play a really good and fight hard. You know, one of the things we always say is, you know, we try hard here, and we tried hard, and we outplayed them the last minute, and all of a sudden, you know, we win the game, and there's no question it was a game changer. And I think it was Jen Chapman who said on your radio station, you know, Alabama's trying hard, they're playing hard, but they need to win to keep the fans coming back. And we won that game. We really did, and it's been a blessing ever since. And I gotta say this to you: the call made by Chris Stewart last night. I hope this guy. I'm buying a ticket to park my car here, and you know, the call he made at the end of the game for us winning the game was spectacular. I mean, I'm listening to it right now as you introduced me, and that was an incredible call. And it made me want to go back and get in the moment of last night. So, you know, things are exciting. They are.
Yeah, it was a great call. But, you know, you can't have a great call unless you have a great game. And your team's play set up the call, and Chris took advantage of it, and it just capped off a monumental night for Alabama basketball. I want to get into this game last night. And you know, and this is not to downgrade your club at all, but you look at their roster and you look at your roster man for man, and again, Obasanjo's having an all-SEC year, possibly SEC Player of the Year, but you look at their players individually and you look at your players individually, and you're saying, man, Alabama would be lucky to keep this thing to 8 or 10 points. I mean, that's just on paper what it looks like. But your team, the sum of your parts are so much better collectively than they are individually. And, you know, you got Norris, who doesn't do anything offensively. A lot of guys don't play in other roles when they don't score. He gets 16 rebounds. Obasanjo goes off for 35. My goodness, Justin Coleman, you're a different team when he's making shots. I mean, you just, you know, I hate to say you just outworked him and out-toughed him, but to some degree I thought you did.
I always feel like I'm Avery Johnson's PR guy, and I love that job in the sense of, and that's not what he's ever asked me to do for him. But, he's like super coach. And it doesn't, Johnny Jones is a really good basketball coach.
Right.
They're in first place in the SEC. Avery Johnson, and again, I think I heard you say something about Arthur Edwards scoring 12 points. I just remember 3 of them.
Biggest shot of the game. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And it's just Avery finds ways to whether it's tricking them into believing they're special, believing they're good. You talk about Obasa, and I think I heard Barry Sanderson say on the his radio show, he and his dad's radio show, that did they scout Rhett Obasahan because he was getting where he wanted to get. Well, that's Coach Johnson, creating plays that put him in a situation where he can be successful. That's what that is, and so you got to look at the guy that you hired and say, man, that dude is something else, and truthfully, he really is. And so I look at that and I say, I text my wife and I said, he's super coach last night. Just does an unbelievable job. And Antoine Petway, he said it, he's always, he came from the staff before us, and he's been on other staffs. And, I used to tell him all the time, I said, no, this dude's different. He's this. And like the last week, he goes, man, he is unbelievable. He is a great coach, and he is. So I know I'm rambling about his coaching, and I do want to say something about Riley, because I can't think of Charlie's last name, right? But I've always known him as Charlie, as the assistant coach at LSU, because he used to be at North Texas with Johnny. He walks by me as he's walking out of the arena last night, and he says, there's only one kid I know that can score 2 points and get 16 rebounds and win the game for you, and that's Riley Norris.
Wow.
And I was like, man, what a compliment,
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the Norris family and I'm an Alabama fan and I'm Riley Norris. What a beautiful statement.
Well, that's a credit to him, because as you and I both know, you coach you guys to play hard regardless, but there are a lot of them that if the shots aren't going in, they droop and drop their head, and he just doesn't do that. I like stat lines. When you talk to me, I'm always looking at the box, but this stat line for Obasahan last night, 11 of 18 from the field, 11 of 11 from the free throw line. It's one thing to get there. It's another thing to make them. He's got 35 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I think he had a steal. He had 1 steal. And the guy's barely over 6 feet tall. You're just not gonna see a better stat line than that very often in the SEC, especially against a team of that caliber.
That's all he did last night?
That's all he did.
Oh my gosh. He's got to get to work. No,
and he had no turnovers. Let's mention that.
Really? He didn't turn the ball over.
Didn't turn it over.
Well, I've said this before. Coach Johnson coaches him really hard. And he is such a mature young man. His leadership, I think it was Brian Pasnick that was talking about it earlier on the show, because I was driving in the car listening, about him as a leader. And what the great thing that I see for him is how the guys on the team have grown to really respect him and his effort. It's one thing to have my respect or your respect, but it's another thing to have the guys you're standing next to and you're battling with every day. And Coach Johnson, it's one thing to have their respect. That's where you really, I think, is where the tale is told. And the guys on the team have really grown to respect him, because his actions are speaking loudly.
Wow, that's well said. Coach Johnson says it time and again, we don't have an aircraft carrier. We don't have a guy that we can just dump the ball in there and say, go get 30 for us. We don't have that guy, so we have to play as a team. And there is no doubt that your team is a lot better when little Justin Coleman plays like he did last night. 5 of 8 from 3, 21 points. He didn't just make shots, he made big shots, and he distributed the basketball. He got 5 assists for you. Now, I know consistency's been an issue with him, but do you feel like, Coach, that he has really turned the corner to becoming a more consistent player for you night in and night out?
Oh, without a doubt. I love Justin Coleman. I think that, he's had a tough road. It's a transition time with a new coaching staff. He's undersized, never underappreciated. But, when he plays like he played last night, and he's had some good games for us, he really has. And, he's made big plays. He was big at Florida. He's a tremendous foul shooter. He's gotten better with the basketball and his decisions, where he's starting to distribute it better. Justin Coleman he was I hate to say the word killer, but he was incredible last night. And I'm just happy for Justin. I really am. We like him to shoot the ball. Because he's a really good shooter, and he got off to a good start, made one, missed one, then made another one, and then came out in the second half and had that stretch where he hit a three and got fouled, made the free throw, hit another three, and found Arthur for a three, and the left-handed layup he made down the stretch of the game was I think the second biggest shot that we made as a team in the game. So he was beautiful. He just really was.
Great win. And as Barry Sanderson likes to say, let's not overlook your free throw defense last night. Your free throw defense was good. They get there 35 times and only make 20. That's another thing Coach Johnson has obviously got the team playing very well on the free throw line when they're defending those free throws.
I have never heard that before, and I had heard that on the radio, and I was like, that is really funny. And you can look at it a couple different ways. Man, we're either fouling a lot or we're playing, and the refs were very good last night. They called a great game. We did foul a lot at times, and, sometimes unnecessarily, but that's the game. That's part of the game. You got to make shots when you get them, and you talked about Rhett making 11 free throws last night, going 11 for 11 or 12 for 12, whatever it was, 11 for 11. I'm not for sure which one. All I know is it was perfect. That's just part of the game. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you don't have to be good in math to know who the team that has one more than the other wins, and that was us last night. And I want to say this because I was thinking about this because when you like the last couple weeks. You see CM Newton at the games, and you see Coach Sanderson at the games, and it's so important to Avery to put the pride into the program that those two legends, iconic, legendary coaches, built and put their heart and soul. I'm thinking to myself as I'm driving down the road. I guarantee if you took off their shirt, they've got a tattoo of A on their heart, because they love the University of Alabama. They do. It's probably other than having their family, the most important part of their life. And so, Avery coming here and as a great competitor that he is, he wants to win, but, he wants to win for this community so bad. And Wimp Sanderson and CM Newton are as important people in this community in the basketball world as they've ever had. And so I know that's why that Coach Johnson works so hard.
Before I let you go, I know the next one's always the most important one, but boy, this is a big game Saturday because you've got all this momentum, you've got the back-to-back road wins, but Mississippi State's kind of laying in wait. I mean, they knocked off Vanderbilt coming from 17 back. You beat them in overtime over there. They got a really talented young roster. Not that one game cancels out another, but you don't want to go get back-to-back road wins in Gainesville and Baton Rouge and then lose at home. This is a really big game on Saturday against Mississippi State.
Oh, and you guys have done such a good job about talking about getting the people there in the seats, making sure we have a great crowd and being supportive, being loud. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I wish we could get everybody in Coleman Coliseum and have a cheer practice. To get them out of their seats, to go in there and, it's not a recliner. You're not at home, watching American Idol or The Voice or whatever it is you're watching. You're watching the University of Alabama. And, I want it to be an event. Avery always talks about making it an event for our fans where they cheer, have some fun, sweat a little bit, go back to your day when you were, 17 years old, sitting in the high school, watching your team playing and cheer. And when they play the song Sweet Home Alabama and it comes time to go Roll Tide Roll, give it your best. Get up and give it your best. because we're going to need it. And Avery's the master about not putting the cart before the horse, because, it's one game at a time, one day at a time, one video session at a time. And, naturally we are in a better place than probably most all of us ever imagined being. But I don't think you have to worry about Avery Johnson taking a day off.
Well, Coach, yeah, the whole staff's done phenomenal. The best thing I can say is, basketball's fun again in Tuscaloosa. I mean, listen, you want to win. I mean, that's just, that's the nature of fandom. You want to see your team win. You want to see them have success. I think everybody bought into this team, whether they had won these games or not. I think people were enjoying watching them play and seeing the effort. But winning makes it more fun, and to be relevant in the March Madness discussion, I think we're all thrilled and looking forward to Saturday. Thank you so much, Coach.
My pleasure. Everybody, give me a roll tide. Roll tide.